I work in a nursing home, and something strange is happening to the residents. This might just be the most well-kept secret ever, for now, but if my instincts are right, this is going to be a major change we are going to have to learn how to deal with. At first, I thought it was an isolated incident. But now I know it is not. Everyone will have their own memory of how this all started. For me, it began in a stuffy room, watching an old man's chest rise and fall with decreasing purpose until it finally stopped. It's important to me that you know about him. He wasn't just a case. He wasn't patient zero. He was a man I was very fond of and enriched the lives of many. His name was Bert. He loved children, though he had none of his own. In the old days he was a children's entertainer. He did puppet shows and magic tricks that enthralled his young audiences. He was a kind man with a great sense of humor. He liked crosswords and cricket and puns. Really bad puns. I always joked with him that he should have been a father because he had the dad joke down to a fine art. He ended his days in the nursing home where I worked. Twice, he ended his days. I'm going to tell you about both of them. The first time Bert died was a quiet affair. He had been going downhill for a while, and whilst he'd always been an active sort of man even in his 80s, for the few weeks preceding his death he'd had trouble walking, up till the point we needed to use a wheelchair to get him from A to B. He hated it, hated having to rely on us, wait for one of us to attend to him and assist him into his chair, whereas before he could have just taken a stroll to the dining room by himself. He used to like to walk around the grounds of the home, and when I had time I would make sure I wheeled him around for some fresh air. He liked birds too, and would point them out on our walks. The final couple of days of his life he was confined to his bed, and for the most part he wasn't really there at all. He faded in and out and talked nonsense when he could talk at all, little snippets of his life doled out and recovered memories that bore no relevance to what was happening to him in the present. From what I surmised hearing him mutter, he'd had a happy life, and I was glad he was able to relive it in his last remaining days, rather than be trapped in the reality of his failing body in the small room he was hidden away in. I was with him when he died. People working in nursing homes get a sixth sense about when people are going to pass, and even though my shift ended at 2 o'clock I volunteered to sit with him. He had family, but they all lived too far away, and I didn't want Bert to die alone. I took a chair near his bed and sat, listening to the sound of traffic outside his window and the sounds of the nursing home beyond his shut door. One of the housekeepers was singing in the corridor near us, and the afternoon shift was springing into action, sorting laundry and doing tea rounds. Bert and I were suspended in a drowsy, morbid bubble and life continued on all around regardless with all its noise and mild drama. Bert's breathing was labored, and every time he sucked air into his lungs it made me wince from the effort it took. He sounded bubbly and hoarse, a man drowning within his own mortal form, and I wished for his own sake that he would give up the fight.